All right, everyone, welcome to my podcast, Bring It On. I'm very, very happy tonight because I got one of my favorite wrestler, entertainer, hashtag entertainer, Brodus Clay, formerly WWE, and now Tyrus in TNA. So I'm very happy to have you on the podcast, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. And just wanted to start a podcast by saying how cool, and sometimes, how, you have an interest in the paranormal, and I'm a huge wrestling fan. So we just started following each other on Twitter, and just out of the blue, you tweeted me a direct message saying you'd love to go investigate. And I said, wow, you know what? We could do a podcast, half paranormal and half wrestling. And that's pretty cool, So you've had an interest in the paranormal for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is like whenever I see ghosts or old stories and stuff like that, and I travel a lot. I go to different towns and stuff. I always try to, if I could stay at an old hotel with, a background story or a place that's got, supposedly, there was, a mass murder here, or there was, usually it's like a ghost or an old maid or something like that. I always want to check them out or whatever, so.
That's so true, because that's the
stories and stuff like that. So
exactly, because I've had Road Dogg on a podcast a few months ago, and that's what we talked about. You guys are on the road so much, and you're not always in 5-star hotels, and you see a lot of creepy places, on the road. So you must have had your share of creepy places, and like you said, sometimes they'll tell you the history of the place, and there's one in Nevada called the Clown Motel, in the middle of a ghost town, and there's so many of them over the years. Sometimes when we go on the road investigating, the hotels that we sleep in are more active than the buildings we investigate.
Yeah, because I mean, people travel,
Exactly, and motels, they hide so many secrets, and there's so many stuff going on. People are coming in just for a night or two, and then they leave. And it's kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but what happens in motels most of the time, they stay there too. So that must be one of the reasons why there's so many stories, and actually paranormal activity in a lot of them, and what is the creepiest place you've ever been all your years on the road?
There was a place in Buffalo, me and Sandow stayed, and it was like the Rose Hotel, and it was all hot tubs in each room, and it hadn't been, the decor hadn't changed since the roaring 50s.
Wow.
It was a really creepy place. The atmosphere was weird. Lots of mirrors, lots of mannequins, and stuffed people in ballrooms. It kind of reminded me a lot of the Shining.
Wow, like the Stanley Hotel in wow, that's
and Sandow is into all that kind of stuff. He's kind of a really weird dude, so he always has some crazy backstory, and you let him talk, he'll convince you that there's spirits in every room. So
the same thing with the Usos. That's what Rhoda was telling me. They're like, "Oh, dude, it's something." When you do this, for not for a living, but I investigate all the time. But you don't realize that a lot of people are actually pretty scared. When something happens, or just hearing the stories, and then it's something to tell the story when you're a bunch of guys drinking a few beers. But when you go to your room, you're by yourself, and then you're knocking a wall. You realize that no matter how big you are, how tough you are, you really can do nothing against somebody you don't see, right?
Yeah, and as a rule, I really don't investigate. If I think something's up, I just leave.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting noise. Goodbye.
Exactly. Because no matter what, exactly, it's something. I've never had anything actually hurting me. In a physical level. I've never seen, like in horror movies, stuff flying, but sometimes you just get the feeling, you're not alone in a room, and you just know, smells, sometimes it could be just a weird feeling, but you definitely have sometimes those feelings when you start doing it, and that's a lot of fun, so whenever we go investigate, and we can meet, that would be awesome to investigate with you. It would be fun,
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool, because if something's up, you know why? Because I'm gone.
You know what? I'm always say, I'm so much more scared of the living than of the dead. That summer we were going to Washington D.C. and you just don't realize how close you are from the ghetto when you're actually walking towards the White House and Union Station, and then just put the wrong address on my GPS. I wanted to see the staircase where they did the movie, The Exorcist. And so I wanted to see those staircase, but instead of Washington, it was in Georgetown. So I ended up in the middle of the ghetto. And I was scared at my wits. I was like, oh my goodness, with the kids in the car and my friend beside me. And I was like, oh my God, I just have to get away from here. And that's something that's probably happens to you guys too, with GPS down the road, getting lost in cities and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we get lost all the time. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, trying to find a gym, trying to find the restaurant,
venue, all that stuff.
That's amazing. The road stories. I always think that sharing life on the road. Whether I always say wrestlers or I love country music singers, or it's you're on the road almost every day of the year. Like 5 days a week, and so basically your home becomes your basically your cell phone, right? So you're traveling all the time from city to city. Does it happen sometimes? You just wake up and you're like, where the hell am I?
Yeah, you really don't know where you're at sometimes.
Exact. And is it traveling as bad? Do you travel as much? Now that you've left the WWE.
Actually, I think I travel more. I'm always gone. TNA keeps me pretty busy, and I just did a tour with AAA and was wrestling Rey Mysterio in Mexico, and I go all over the country and all overseas and stuff, and stand-up comedy takes me everywhere, so I'm pretty busy.
Oh yeah, I follow you on Twitter and and on Facebook, and that's exactly what I realized is that since I remember the day when you said they fired a lot of guys, and you were like, you know what, I'm not worried, life will go on and I will keep working, and you did, you never ever stopped, and you kind of reinvented yourself in TNA, and I was watching matches today, and I think your chemistry is awesome with Carter. I think that EC3, I just love the chemistry, and there's a bunch of new talent in TNA now with Drew Galloway. To me, is totally amazing. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think this kid, sky's the limit.
Yeah, we got a good crew over at TNA, and got a new network, so that's going to be exciting. And I'm the #1 contender, which is always a great spot to be in, which pretty much means I'm the closest thing to the champion right now, which is pretty monumental for me. So, wrestling is good right now. It's booming, and there's lots of opportunities out there, and there's a lot of talented guys, and it's just an exciting time to be in the world of wrestling.
It really is. It really is, because a lot of people say, this, the only place you can make a living is WWE, and I just find it to be so not true. The Lucha Underground, there's Ring of Honor, TNA, and good wrestlers will always find work. I just think, that, and sometimes, without the restrictions of a writing team, you can be so much more, creative. And I was just watching interviews today from Kevin Owens before he came to WWE, and it was not PG, I swear. And, but, in TNA, your character is very cool, very, totally different from what you did, as Brodus Clay. But that's something to me, because tonight we watched an old TLC from 2013, just before actually the night you did the heel turn against when Tensai left with the Funkadactyls.
Oh yeah, I turned an old Tensai.
Yeah, exactly, and actually, you were beating R-Truth, and I was like, my God, that could have been a very, very odd feud between the two of you, because you guys had good chemistry. And I think that would have been a great feud if they would have let that feud go on a little bit longer. You and Tensai could have been doing some very good work together.
Yeah, I kind of, when I look back on that time with with Tenzai. I kind of wish that we would have had the heel turn together. I think we only really scratched the surface of what we could do as a tag team, and he's such a talented and he's a Hall of Famer. You look at his body of work. He's on a whole other level as far as just as a sports entertainer. You can say big guys if you want to, but he can go with just about anybody. But I enjoyed my time with him, and now he's the man behind the machine in the WWE in terms of training and stuff. So he's had a tremendous career, and I learned a lot from him, and I try to take the stuff I learned from him and apply it today.
That's awesome. He trains now the kids in NXT. So you had a first row ticket with him, for about a year, actually traveling with the guy. And he seems like a genuine great guy. When I just see him as a big giant teddy bear. Am I right?
Oh, he's not. He's not. He's sarcastic. He's a prankster. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. He plays that teddy bear, but he's one of the dirtiest players in the game. He plays a good game, but don't trust that
guy. Do you still keep in touch with some of the guys? From I'm sure it's a big family, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain this guy's I'm close with, of course, Sandow and Slater and Big E. I see Kofi, Sheamus. When I train at Hard Knock South, I've seen his gym. So, Tyson Kidd and I, we're close. I talk to him probably, once or twice a month because we're all busy and stuff. But, great group of guys. And of course, I still, and work with guys over at TNA. So, when you travel up and down the road, and you bleed, you sweat, and you fight, and you work together. There's a bond there, and we're a closer group today than in years past. Guys are more focused on just having a good match and being, make sure both guys get over and stuff like that. We're just a closer group, and everyone's positive, and it's always good to see each other and work with old friends and stuff. So, I was very blessed, lucky time to be in the WWE. And, was around a great bunch of guys, and TNA is pretty much the same thing.
Exactly. Because, there's a very good bunch of wrestlers, a good mix of younger guys and veterans. And are you going to wrestle Kurt Angle on the next tour of TNA? Because I saw a tweet this week that you did to Kurt Angle.
Oh, man, I mean, I'm sure there's a long line to want to be in on that bad boy, but man, why would you not?
This guy is the first, to me, in my opinion, I think in my humble opinion, I would say Kurt Angle, I would put him with Eddie Guerrero and Bret Hart probably as the three best wrestlers of all time. In my opinion, the guy is absolutely incredible. And like you said, he seems like a stiff son of a gun. You got to be prepared when you get in the ring with Kurt Angle that it's going to hurt, right?
I can't, Kurt has become very special to me in a very short amount of time. He's not just a great Hall of Fame wrestler, he's also a great teacher. He's a great coach. Like, you come through Gorilla and the first guy waiting for you is Kurt Angle, with always positive advice and always, giving you things to improve upon. And he has just been monumental in my resurrection in TNA.
Wow.
He'll be sorely missed. I'm in that long line, hoping to get one of those matches.
That's amazing because it doesn't have to do that, right? To stay gorilla position, and because I listened to your podcast with Sam Roberts, and that's the part you talked about. It doesn't have to do this. Most of the guys, they wait for their match, and once their match is done, they just leave. But he's there from the beginning of the first match of the night to the main event, and giving advice to how can you not listen or take a good feedback from a guy like this? in my opinion, it's probably, like you said before, monumental to your career, but to a lot of guys also. I'm sure that a kid like Drew Galloway, comes back after a match, and you have Kurt Angle saying, that part was good, that part you could have done this or that. This is something you just can't, and he's still active. He's not just, a road agent in the back. He does this as a wrestler, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's just a great. He's just one of the great ones. That's all you can say. He's really. He's just a class act.
He really is.
You can learn a lot from him, and he owns everything. And that's probably the best thing about Kurt Angle is that he wears it on his sleeve, and he's just a solid guy. But all that doesn't mean I don't want to be the guy to send him home with an L on his last one. So.
And his body of work over the years, you look at the first matches he had, the transition he made from, amateur wrestling to pro wrestling is incredible, because there are not a lot of guys before him. Ken Shamrock, that I can think of, but Kurt, looked like he was born to wrestle. And there's guys like this, but coming back to you and your career, I was so blown away to know that before you became a wrestler, you were a bodyguard for for 4 or 5 years, right?
Yep.
That's amazing. Tell me more about it, because I'm like, oh my God, first of all, you look like a guy that I would love to have as a bodyguard.
Yeah, I'm expensive, but I'm good. Yeah, I did very well at that.
Oh my goodness, no kidding. And so you were a bodyguard for Snoop Dogg, if I remember. And how did you become? Is this something you do and then you just sheer luck or through connections to have a guy like this coming up to you and asking to become part of his entourage? And how did you earn that job?
I got it basically. I was working at a club in LA, and one of the guys there had saw me, and he went to the manager. We need this guy on our team. This guy's really good. And that's kind of how it came about. Just kind of went from there.
My goodness. And it must have been...
I was referred, and then I got on, and I climbed the ladders very quickly. And
how does a day work? You travel with a guy like this. Do you stay around him all the time, or a certain part of the day where he goes to the restaurant and you have to follow, just kind of protect him from all people, trying to get autographs and stuff like that. So you're basically just there to make sure everything's okay and he's protected.
Yeah, and not just that, but keep him where he needs to go and make sure he makes his appointments and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot that goes in the bodyguard, and a lot of people don't realize that. So
yeah, exactly.
But and I worked closely with his management and stuff to make sure he did what he needed to do and where he needed to go, and I was good at it. So I rose the ladder pretty quickly, and then the crazy part about it is, I ended up getting to the pinnacle of bodyguarding where I could pretty much call my shots. But my calling was wrestling, and I walked away from it. To chase my dream, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, you did, because your career, you started from the bottom. You did, and you worked your way, from Deep South Wrestling to Florida Championship Wrestling to to the WWE. And you had character changes along the way, and but to be able to pull off the character, Brodus Clay, took a lot of, I see on your Twitter account you're an actor and a comedian. It takes a lot of talent to be able to pull it off, because the first time you came out, my mouth must have hit the ground. I was totally like, they were kind of, still having those vignettes of you as a monster, right? And then you came out with the song, and the Funky Doctors. That was awesome. Tell me more about the creative process behind it. Were you in from the beginning, or it was something that came out of left field?
It just came together, like literally. The old man changed his mind, and I basically had 2 weeks to figure it out.
Wow.
And I was lucky enough to did it.
Well, you did it in style, First of all, coming up with, you had two value you that was unheard of back in the day. Even a spot at WrestleMania, and worked with Owens and a lot of stuff. A lot of cool stuff, and you weren't undefeated for a pretty long period of time, so you had a very good run. As Brodus Clay.
Yeah, it was cool. My time there was great. I really don't have any complaints. I just had a lot of fun. And, and I think that was the biggest part of it is I was going to have fun doing what I wanted to do. And it was cool. It worked out, and people liked it and had a lot of fun. It was a lot different. It wasn't exactly what I thought I was going to do, but sometimes in life, not everything goes the way you want to. But, I was able to make, lemonade out of, water. So it was cool. It was a really good time, and I enjoyed it. No regrets. And as far as I think monsters, I think anyone can be a monster, but it's hard to make kids laugh, especially nowadays, and entertain people and put smiles on faces. Because it's easy to make everybody talk trash, because that's the way society is now. Everyone has something negative to say, so it's really hard to be positive and get positive reactions out of people. And I was able to do that. So it's the Funkasaurus character is a point of pride.
Exactly. That's my point. When we do podcasts like this, it's to focus on the good things, because I've never. I always think that you have to remember the good times and learn from whatever didn't work or could have worked better, and it's basically just moving on and looking forward instead of looking back. And you look to me like that kind of guy, always look forward. And you also said, on some podcast, that you're a guy very opinionated. You got an opinion on everything. So, and that's a good thing, to stand up for yourself and to make your point and to be able to do what you do. And, to have career that you had, you have to, to sometimes, you have to stand up, stand up for what you believe in.
Well, I mean, like I said, you can't always do what you want to do, and sometimes you just got to do what you have to do, and that's pretty much how it works, Oh, I want to do this. Well, here's what we got for you. Can you make it work? Or, or next man up. And, so we just, and that's just kind of where I went from there.
Exactly. And there's so many other things, that your career, we could do a 5-hour podcast. You actually were able to do a movie, No One Lives. And that was a pretty good movie. Tell me more about the experience. How different is it from doing a movie to what you did as a bodyguard or, in the wrestling business? How hard is it to, to do a movie?
It's completely different. Wrestling is one take, and you don't have a lot of time. Movies, there's lots of different cameras, lots of different angles, retakes, rehearsals, meetings. Like, it's a long process, and it's very different. But I learned a lot, had a lot of fun. I'm going to do some more movies this year, which is exciting. So, it was a great opportunity. The director was awesome. I learned a lot from the cast. And the most important thing is I had fun, and I got to do, something, seeing myself on the big screen was kind of cool, Something that, a kid who grew up with much of nothing with not a real high elevator, as far as, coming from the background I came from. So it was pretty cool to, WWE gave me a lot of opportunities to do different things I always wanted to do, and I was able to do them and do them well. So it still goes with me today, which is cool.
Exactly. And then from then, you can, like I said, you have another movie coming up this year. So it's something, is it something I don't know, you're still pretty young, you still plan to wrestle for another couple years and, or
at least another 3 years, at least 3 more years. So we'll see how we feel at the end of the next 2 years. But I'm training great, and I'm having some awesome workouts at Hard Knock South, and improving every week. And I feel like $1 million. So there's no reason why, as long as I continue to eat right and work hard and have fun, which is the biggest thing is have fun. long as I'm doing those things and still get butterflies in my chest before I go out, then I'm going to keep doing it.
Exactly. And, to reinvent yourself and your character, the way you do, it's cool, to see that you can evolve, as a character on television. But also, I think you're very underrated as a wrestler. You're a big guy, but you can move pretty well for your size. And I really love your new finishing move, the in TNA. Tell me more about the. Did you come up with this new finisher, or something that they proposed to you, or it's?
I came up with it. I started grabbing guys and just clubbing them on the side of the head, and it just kind of worked. Umaga used to do it, rest his soul. So I figured, and Bam Bam Terry Gordy did it back in the day. So I was like, I might as well bring it back, and it's easy. Just hoist them up and swing away. So, and it works. Fans get behind it.
Oh, totally.
It's a cool name. I call it the ICU. So
the ICU, and in your first matches, you had that kind of choke slam also, where you took the guy about.
That's the tongue and death grip into a slam.
Wow.
That's a lot of fun too.
A lot of fun for you, but is it really fun for the guy on the receiving end of this?
I would imagine not. I would think probably.
I wouldn't. I would prefer. No, I wouldn't like to be on the receiving end of that move. Oh my goodness.
It's a doozy. It'll put some hair in your chest. It's not a.
Because that's one thing about you. I've never heard anybody complain about you being stiff with them in the ring. So that's something that people don't realize. But once I had a podcast with the guy that used to train Dean Ambrose, Cody Hawk, and that's what he explained to me. The hardest part of being a wrestler is to not hurt your opponents. Basically, like a dance, where you have to. And I remember Bret Hart saying that the thing he was the most proud of in his career is that he never hurt anybody. And but for a guy of your size, how hard is it to be able to perform the moves that you do, but also to make sure you don't kill your opponent, right?
I never heard him. Well, like I said, wrestling's an art form, and it's a magic show, and the illusion of simulated combat, and you want to be able to do it every week. And hurting a guy in the ring doesn't help anybody, and so it's something that I as a point of pride, but I want my stuff also to look like it hurts. So it takes a lot of hard work to be like that, a lot of dedication, a lot of film study. You have to treat it as the art form, just like karate or jiu-jitsu or anything else you want to do well. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication and practice. You got to practice.
Oh, definitely, like the splash that you did, as Rose Clay. If you miss it and you really fall, you could break his ribs. You could definitely hurt a guy. And but at the same time, if you fall way in front of him and it doesn't look like it hurts, so it's a fine line of doing a move. And I remember when I was younger, watching Razor Ramon in the ring, and even today, watching his old matches, he would punch the guy, and it would look like he was clubbing them every time. I still think that Razor, Scott Hall was threw the best punches. Do you agree with me that his punches look real?
Well, yeah, Razor threw a good punch. When I think of guys whose stuff that was just impeccable, I always think of guys like Arn Anderson or Dean Malenko.
Wow.
Just everything they did. Guys like that could really go. But yeah, no one's going to get to the level of the WWE roster if you can't throw a damn punch.
Yeah, exactly. And you were able to work with Edge, towards the end of his career. And how was it to work with Adam Copeland, in the ring? One of my favorite guys.
I was to death because he was so fragile. I was worried about his back, his neck, and it's the first big feud I'm a part of. And the last thing I wanted to do was hurt the guy, the person I'm working.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same thing with Christian towards the end, where you could, like you said, how hard is it to call the matches in the ring, because sometimes, I watch a match from Ring of Honor where there's not much noise in the crowd and you can hear the guys, but that's also an art form, right? To be able to call the matches without the fans at ringside and the cameras now that are so close to the ring, to catch everything. So is it something, when you train to become a wrestler, is it something they put a lot of focus on, or is it something you learn as you go?
I think you're always learning, you're always developing.
You do? Are you now at the point in your career where you call most of your matches, or it depends on your opponent?
I don't. Yeah, we don't. If you go in the back and tell me a million things, I'm going to forget all that stuff. So, being with the guys I work with and stuff, we'll just see out there. I mean, go over, like I said, only time guys really call stuff is just for cameras and things like that. But normally we'll just, we'll see out there, bro. Whatever you want to do.
That's
it shouldn't be staged, because you have to account for the crowd, and you never know how they're going to go, or if something all of a sudden works that you didn't realize was going to work the way it was going to work, then you want to stick with that and not just drop it because you decide, whatever. But
it was planned 30 minutes before. I'm very happy to hear it, because, that's one of the complaints that people have today, that the matches seem too much scripted and everything. And I think that's an art form, like you said, you go out there and you can judge from the reaction of the crowd, and then you can go from there. And also, so many, things going on, like time constraints, you're supposed to have 15 minutes and then you end up having 8 minutes. So if you plan, like you said, everything for 50 minutes and then you go to 8, then, it throws everything out the window. So it's pretty hard to, like you said, go in the ring, and then, the chemistry with guys, is it harder sometimes, some wrestlers, to find that chemistry, or usually, it will come after a few matches?
Like I said, it just depends. I've never really had a hard time working with anybody.
You never did?
No, not really. Not that I can think of. No, like I said, I've been pretty lucky.
Lucky. And is there one match, that stands out, in your head, when you think about your career so far, as one of the matches that, if I've never seen a match from you and you're like, hey, I want to show you one match, that which one would you pick out of all the ones that you've had through your career? It doesn't necessarily have to be a big match, like on a Raw or a pay-per-view or a TNA Bound for Glory, but it could be...
I'd say maybe Dolph Ziggler at TLC, or me and Bobby Lashley on TNA.
Yeah, I saw the match with Bobby Lashley. It was totally amazing match. I agree with you. And, that's another tough looking guy, and very stiff. And that was a very, very good match. Very good match.
So, and then the Bound for Glory, Bound for Gold match at the pay-per-view was the big match. So, quite on that.
And maybe, in the next time we'll do a podcast, you'll be holding the TNA world title. That would be amazing. That would cap off your, your career in a very good way. And I think, that you, that's something, that would be the one thing that could be the, the icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want a championship, and your career is ultimately defined about it, whether good, bad, or indifferent. So, I mean, it is a must. So my focus is on the TNA World Championship.
Yeah, and something else, I remember from Ricky Steamboat at the Hall of Fame, when he said, winning wins and losses, matter, but at the same time they don't, as much as the performance you put in. And I was asking, friends, that stopped watching wrestling a few months ago, at work, and asking them about their favorite wrestlers from the 80s and 90s. And a lot of guys came up, with the Mr. Perfect and Jake Roberts. And if I was to ask one of those guys, how many titles Jake won in his career, whether he won one or two, to them, they remember the character. They remember, being like, oh my God, he was great on the mic. Probably one of the only guy that would speak with a soft voice. And the reason why I'm talking about Jake is because your voice is very similar to Jake. In that you never screamed, you always had that voice, you would lower your voice. And I love this.
Yeah, I'm just not a yeller, and that's who I am in my personal life. I'm just not a yeller. I'll just get quiet when I have something that I don't like somebody. And I find that being quiet and looks do a lot more than screaming. So ill intent is a lot more louder than screaming and yelling, I feel.
That's so true. That's so true. And your character now in TNA reflects probably you more, than any other character you've ever had during your career. But it, is there, like you said, maybe 2 or 3 more years of wrestling, movies coming up. You also talked with Sam about, a TV show that you were involved with recently.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing Fox, Great Gut Bill show, which is great. I'm a reoccurring character on that show, which is pretty awesome. I have a lot of fun with that. It's a great opportunity for me just to be myself and have a lot of fun with it.
That's amazing. So, like you said before, you've been staying busy. I wouldn't say busy, probably not enough hours in a day for you to keep up with everything.
Yeah, training and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, but it's great. It's a really lucky life, to go be able to play cops and robbers, lift weights and train and travel and run your mouth and get paid for it. I mean, it's really a beautiful thing.
It is, and seeing the country, like you said, not just the United States, but you travel all across the world, and I do it also, when I travel to do paranormal investigations, but it's something that, you learn so much from when you travel about yourself, but also when you talk to people. And I see you as that kind of guy, that if you go to a diner or you stop, to get your coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, you look to me like the kind of guy who will talk to people there, and stop chatting with the, you seem to me like the kind of guy that would, if you go for a beer with your friends, you will talk to people, from small towns, you travel, or whether it's in LA or, in Fayetteville, and am I right in my perception that, you seem very close to your fans?
Yeah. I'm not afraid of a conversation.
No, but the best example is just the fact now that we're doing the podcast together, because you never asked me if I had a big website or it's the same thing. We started talking on Twitter, and you said, yeah, we'll do it, and didn't have to go through agents or whatever. So to me, it just shows that you're a very cool guy, and I'm feeling very, very happy and very blessed to be able to do a podcast with you, because you share, you love the paranormal, and I do it. But I am a big wrestling fan. I've been a wrestling fan since I think I was about 1.5 years old when my dad brought me to see wrestling here in Quebec. It was the Rougeau brothers back then. Pat Patterson was the bad guy. Back then, Andre the Giant was wrestling here from time to time. I remember Abdullah the Butcher also was there. And King Tonga, which Aku, would wrestle here. And we were so much afraid of Abdullah the Butcher, start running when he came up.
Well, that's probably right, because he was scary as hell.
Oh, my goodness.
Bigger than life back then.
That's, have you ever met the man in person?
The Butcher, yes, I have. I met him at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, you did. That's awesome. That's something, I feel you guys are so lucky to see all those Hall of Famers in person, to be able to see like the Bruno Sammartinos and those guys, that's amazing, The Ultimate Warrior. Were you there at the Ultimate Warrior's Hall of Fame ceremony?
Yes, I was, and I was there the last night he was at Raw.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I'm a big, huge Ultimate Warrior fan. I remember I was in Toronto at WrestleMania 6 when he won the title, and I would say that back then they would change the sound. I was there, I can tell you that the crowd was split when we watched it on TV. After it looked like 90% of people were for Hogan, but I would say it was like a split crowd. And at the end, they gave him a standing ovation, and I was very happy. It was like kind of passing of the torch moment, and he kept the title for close to a year. But I think his body of work was also very good. He's not necessarily the best wrestler, but as an entertainer, I think he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. And did you have a chance to talk with him during that day, or to shake his hand, or?
Yeah, I just with him, just brief, very brief, like how are you, kind of stuff like that. He was busy. I had stuff going on myself, and I didn't realize that was the only opportunity to talk to him. Otherwise, I would have talked to him more. But
yeah. The good thing is that he seemed to be very at peace with, talk with Vince and even with Hogan and everybody else. So I think that he seemed very happy on Raw the day after. He seemed like a man that was, feeling like, the earth was gone and all that, that negative energy that probably held inside for years, he was able to let go. And it's still emotional just to talk about it because, you get attached to those guys. You see them, like I said before, we see guys on TV every week 2 or 3 times sometimes, So, we get, like almost become part of the family. And that's why people, sometimes some wrestlers will complain that fans are too emotional, but, it's part of what wrestling is. It touches the emotion of the fans. And the day people don't get emotionally attached or is the day people will stop watching wrestling, right?
Yeah, no, it's great. And that's part of it. I love the fans that are crazy. They'll follow me.
Exactly.
And, I deal with them all the time. There's no big deal. I used to be one of those crazy fans.
exact. And, you can relate to the kids, like...
When Orndorff didn't win the title. I was one of those fans.
Exactly. I was like, wow, Jake should have gone, at least a tag team title or the Intercontinental title at least once. But, at the end of the day, people remember the guys for, the characters. And like you said before, bringing a smile to people's face. And that's very important to me because, the kids, my kid, that's one thing before we end the podcast, his name is Fred and he's a big, big fan of yours. And he's not watching tonight because it's already almost midnight here in Quebec.
Yeah.
But I'll make him watch the podcast tomorrow. So I just wanted to say hi to you. And he's a big fan.
So much up. Appreciate the support.
Yeah, he's 9 years old and he watches Raw with me every week. And he watches TNA. And he's
watching TNA on the Pop Network. So it's going to be kind of cool. A lot easier to see us now.
Oh, that will be amazing. I can't wait. We'll catch it in Canada and keep following your career and keep tweeting together, and keep in touch.
Yeah, we'll look forward to working together soon.
That would be awesome, to investigate together, creepy prison.
I'm in your area, man. I'll link up with you. We'll go check out something.
That would be awesome, my friend. Thank you so much for your time, Tyrus. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy and you're on the road right now. So I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. And hopefully people will listen to the podcast and appreciate, the fact that I learned stuff from you. So hopefully some people will, I didn't know that he was bodyguard for Snoop Dogg, or I didn't know that, he did movies or whatever. So you've had a pretty full career so far, but it's still going on. So hopefully you keep going, my friend.
All right. Best of luck to you, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take care, boss.
Take care. Bye. All right, everybody. So that's so cool. That was, Tyrus, formerly known as Brodus Clay. Very cool guy, and just, started following me this week on Twitter. And as I'm going through my followers, I see, oh, my God, he's following me back. So he tweeted me a direct message saying that, anytime you need somebody on paranormal investigation, I'm in. So I said, of course. And if you want to do a podcast where we could talk about the paranormal and wrestling, that'd be cool. And here we go. About a week later, we're doing the podcast, and very happy and feeling very blessed. And hopefully people, you appreciated the podcast, and there's more coming up next week, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you very much. Have a great night.